The Big Bang Theory. One quote from each character that perfectly sums up their personality. Few sitcoms have captured the quirks, brilliance, and humanity of their ensemble cast quite like The Big Bang Theory. For 12 seasons, the show gave us characters whose personalities were so distinct that a single line could define who they were, from Sheldon's rigid logic to Penny's grounded charm. Each of them had moments that distilled their essence into one perfect quote. Here's a deep dive into the lines that best encapsulate every major character, proving why The Big Bang Theory remains one of television's most character-driven comedies. 1. Sheldon Cooper. I'm not crazy. My mother had me tested. If there's one line that became synonymous with Sheldon Cooper, it's this one. It's his go-to defense whenever someone questions his sanity, which, given his eccentricities, happens often. Sheldon Jim Parsons lives by the rules of logic and routine. He sees the world as something that should be organized, structured, and perfectly rational. The brilliance of this line lies in its paradox. Sheldon's insistence on being not crazy is itself delivered in such an obsessive, repetitive way that it feels a little crazy. But that's Sheldon, a man of science who can't comprehend social nuance, whose confidence in his intellect shields a deep fear of vulnerability. This quote captures his essence, self-assured, analytical, and blissfully unaware of how odd he appears to everyone else. 2. Leonard Hofstadter. You're the peanut butter to my jelly. Leonard's Johnny Galecki quote to Penny perfectly sums up his heart on his sleeve personality. He's the emotional center of the group, the one most comfortable balancing intellect with humanity. Unlike Sheldon, Leonard constantly seeks connection. His scientific brilliance doesn't stop him from wanting a normal life filled with love, friendship, and domestic stability. This simple, romantic metaphor shows exactly who Leonard is. A man trying to make sense of emotions through analogies that make sense to him. It's sweet, awkward, and sincere, much like Leonard himself. His whole journey, from a lonely physicist to Penny's husband, can be traced through that earnest desire to find someone who complements his world. 3. Penny. It's okay. Sometimes smart people can be stupid. Penny Kaylee Cuoco may not have a PhD, but she's often the smartest person in the room when it comes to emotional intelligence. Her grounded view of life keeps the others tethered to reality. When she delivers this line, it's a gentle reminder that intellect and wisdom aren't the same thing. Throughout the series, Penny balances her friends' overthinking with gut instinct and common sense. This quote showcases her greatest strength, empathy wrapped in blunt honesty. She never belittles her friends' intelligence, but she's not afraid to call them out when their book smarts cloud their basic judgment. In many ways, Penny is the heart of The Big Bang Theory, bridging the gap between the audience and the socially awkward geniuses around her. Few lines sum up Howard Simon Helberg better than this unapologetically ridiculous one. In the early seasons, he's the group's self-proclaimed ladies' man, constantly swinging between confidence and insecurity. A mechanical engineer who often feels overshadowed by his more academically credentialed friends, Howard compensates with exaggerated bravado and humor. Yet, behind that quote lies the essence of Howard's arc. His personality starts as over-the-top and flirtatious, but over time, he matures into a devoted husband and father. Even then, his flair for the dramatic and his quirky sense of humor remain intact. The horny engineer with a jet pack may grow up, but he never truly stops being himself, ambitious, eccentric, and proudly weird. 5. Rajesh Koothrappali. I can't talk to women. It's my thing. Raj Kunal Nayar may be a brilliant astrophysicist, but he's also the most socially anxious member of the group. This self-aware, self-defeating line became his signature in the early seasons. It perfectly captures the irony of his character, a man who can analyze the mysteries of the universe but can't hold a conversation with half the population of Earth. What makes this quote so revealing is how Raj leans into his own limitations, turning his anxiety into a kind of identity. Over time, he outgrows this problem, learning to speak to women without alcohol and even embracing his single life with confidence. But for much of the series, that line defines him, an intelligent soul trapped by his insecurities, yearning for connection but held back by fear. 6. Amy Farrah Fowler. I don't object to the concept of love. I just can't get behind its execution. Amy Mayim Bialik enters the show as a female version of Sheldon, logical, awkward, and emotionally repressed. But over time, she becomes one of its most compelling and human characters. This quote from her early days captures her analytical view of life and her initial discomfort with emotional intimacy. Amy's character arc is about learning to balance intellect with emotion, to embrace affection and vulnerability without losing her sense of self. By the end of the series, she's not only Sheldon's wife, but also a Nobel laureate in her own right. This line serves as the perfect encapsulation of her starting point, a scientist dissecting feelings like data before realizing that love, like science, thrives on discovery. 7. Bernadette Rostenkowski-Wolowitz. I'm small, but the power I wield is mighty. Bernadette Melissa Roch may be the shortest character in the group, but her presence is massive. Her blend of sweetness and ferocity makes her one of the Big Bang Theory's most dynamic personalities. This quote, delivered with her signature mix of charm and intimidation, captures her perfectly. Bernadette is ambitious, assertive, and fiercely loyal, traits often underestimated because of her size and soft voice. Yet she's the one who keeps Howard grounded, dominates her pharmaceutical career, and commands respect from everyone around her. Her line is both a declaration and a warning. Underestimate Bernadette at your peril. 8. Stuart Bloom. I'm like the comic book store. I'm still open, but no one's buying. No line defines Stuart Kevin Sussman better than this bit of self-deprecating humor. The comic book store owner has always existed on the fringes of the group, lovable, sad, and perpetually unlucky in love and life. This quote encapsulates both his loneliness and his resilience. Despite constant setbacks, from financial struggles to awkward social failures, Stuart never truly gives up. His humor is his armor, and through it, he finds his place among the geniuses. Stuart represents the quiet perseverance of everyday people trying to survive in a world that often overlooks them. 9. Beverly Hofstadter. Emotional expression is a sign of weakness. Leonard's mother, Dr. Beverly Hofstadter Christine Baranski, is a psychologist whose clinical detachment makes her one of the show's most fascinating recurring characters. This line is quintessential Beverly, a woman who can dissect human behavior but refuses to participate in it emotionally. Her quote explains so much about Leonard's upbringing and his lifelong need for affection. It also mirrors Sheldon's worldview, which is why the two get along so disturbingly well. Beverly's cold intellectualism is both her strength and her flaw, and this quote reveals the cost of her brilliance: emotional isolation masquerading as superiority. 10. Leslie Winkle. You're just a giant toddler with a physics degree. Leslie Winkle's Sarah Gilbert might have been a minor character, but her sharp wit and brutal honesty made her unforgettable. This line, aimed at Sheldon, distills her role in the series, a scientist who's as intelligent as the guys but far more grounded and socially aware. Leslie never worships intellect the way her male colleagues do. She treats it as a tool, not an identity. Her willingness to call,